What's up, podcast world? I'm so excited to be here. I literally think this is probably one of my first podcasts to record. Actually, it's not, but intentional podcasts to record in 2025. I've recorded a couple and dropped a couple of new podcasts, but they have been just the audio of either Marco Polos that I've sent to clients or lives that I've done. So I'm really excited to just do this podcast. I'm going to put it on YouTube tonight because I need people to hear this message. Definitely my clients, so I'm going to put that on tonight. But I'm going to put it on the podcast. But I'm just really excited to talk about this. So this episode, we're going to talk about decisions and being a good decision maker. I talked about this in the podcast before, and I'm going to walk you through. So in my Diary of a Fit Model blog, if you didn't know, let me kind of recap you. I know people are probably like, whoa, girl, what are you talking about? So in my G4 community, which is an all-women's health community, not on social media, but acts like a social media that I started in January. I started it for my girls, my clients, to have a place to connect with other women and learn, because that's what I do. I'm a coach and I'm a teacher, so I have a lot of education in my G4 community without having to navigate the social media negatives, right? Get on social media and you see so-and-so was shot. Well, Jesus, I just woke up, right? So how can that has been my mission the last couple of years, and I finally found it with this platform, and I'm excited about it. That's why I haven't been podcasting as much, and now that everything's kind of just leveling out, I'm able to clear my just brain space and make more podcasts that I will put over in my G4 space. And so within my G4 community, though, I have been documenting every week my diary of a prep model, or of a fit model, because that's what I'm about to compete in, is fit model division, and just been documenting as much as possible in that diary or that blog. Is what it is. It's just a blog. So I literally talk about every aspect, every area: nutrition, cardio, mindset, training, everything. So if you are interested in prep in any way, whether it's fit model or bikini or wellness or anything, that would be a great place, because I'm putting all the tools as far as checklists that I go off of, timing, like things about timing, like when to do X, Y, and Z, hair, makeup. I just talk about everything, and in this one place, and based on the week out, right? I think I started at 19 weeks out, so full of information. I'm not going to even lie. I'm going to just forewarn you. It's a lot of just not information, but just it's a long blog. If you just coming on, right? I'm 4 weeks out now, so 19 weeks to 4 weeks. So take time with it. It'll be there forever. So all that to say, and this is a lot of the tools that I'm going to talk about today in this podcast. I'm going to be sending out not just this week in my blog post, but just in my G4 community, if they're not already there. Some of these tools are there. I have a lot of education, a lot of checklists, a lot of resources, worksheets. I'm really focusing on worksheets right now within that G4 space, because that's what helps me and helps my clients. So I know it'll help everybody else. So, all right, let's dive into the podcast. So today, I'm literally just going to walk you through ways that I compartmentalize and make decisions based on the outcome that I want most. That is a skill that you must master, especially if you have anxiety, and especially if you have goals on top of having anxiety, because here's the thing: having anxiety is not a bad thing. That means you care. That means you want better. That means you are trying to do more than what you are doing right now. And it's scary. It's scary to do something like create that G4 community outside of social media. This is something no one's ever done, or not that I know of at least. That creates anxiety. But if I didn't have that anxiety, it would be because I didn't make the community, and therefore I didn't fulfill what I feel is my purpose, right? So there are people in this world that don't have anxiety. And that's great. That helps people with anxiety balance themselves out. My husband does not have a lot of anxiety. He does, as I've learned. I didn't at first. We've been together 11 years. The first couple of years, probably the first like 6 or 7 years actually, I did not think he had anxiety. I thought he had none at all. But it comes, the more we evolve together, the more we evolve individually, and the more we evolve together, the more I'm able to learn about each other, right? And so I know that he doesn't not have anxiety, and that alone helps tremendously someone that has anxiety not think that it's bad. So if I didn't, like all the years that I felt I had anxiety, because I know that I have anxiety, that's another thing, just make sure that you admit you have anxiety. A lot of people don't admit that. They blame everything else, but you have anxiety. That's great. That means you want better, right? So now you know that that's a great thing to have. Accept it so that you can learn ways to navigate it. But just kind of finish up what I was talking about with Andy. Before, I just thought I had anxiety and that he has no anxiety, and I'm like completely on the other end of the spectrum. And he never ever made me feel any type of way like that or anything. It was all self-inflicted, right? If I felt like I was too much, it was probably because I was being too much, right? So, and I'm going to learn how to stop saying the word right. So seeing him as we've evolved have a little bit of anxiety around certain situations or certain parts of life makes me, as somebody that has anxiety, feel okay. So I'm not that alone, right? See, I keep saying that. I'm not that alone. That helps tremendously. And so if you have anxiety and you are married and you're in this position, maybe your husband doesn't have anxiety, or he doesn't portray, or he ultimately can hide it well, that is great when you can hide your anxiety well. Not to, like, you don't want to be a completely different person, but you want to control your anxiety enough so that the world does not see how anxious you are, right? But definitely your husband. So all that to say that I don't even know where that started from. So let me just dive in. Where did that even come from? I guess more than anything, before I was going to start, I was going to say that I've been working on my anxiety because I don't want to be on medication. Don't want to be on antidepressants. Definitely do not want to be on antidepressants. And I never was, because I had seen the effects of them. I know the science behind them all the years. And it's funny that last year I was having a lot of anxiety, and more than I could compartmentalize, more than my natural things that I have learned how to do could at that time felt at the time that I was too much. All the habits and all the things that I have learned to put into place to control my anxiety was not working at that time. And so I decided, I let my doctor, who is not my doctor, but she was there when my doctor was not there. It just happened to be on the day that I went. And I let her talk me into trying Prozac. And I tried it for 13 days, and I did a podcast about it, and I'll never do it again. And there's a reason that I made that hard boundary 15 years ago, that I'm not ever going to do this, and having to relearn that last year, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, is a red flag that I didn't learn it the first time, but I did learn it the second time. I do not, and I didn't learn it the first time because I had never taken the Prozac. I had only known the science, and I had only seen what it had done to people that I knew and that I cared about. And I knew that I did not want to do that to myself. So at the end of this, the words that I'm going to put in the diary, one of my biggest life quotes is, you do not need to learn lessons twice. If you have to learn them twice, then you didn't learn them the first time. If you have to learn the same lesson 3 times, then you do not want to change the outcome. And so me, of course, getting and learning in real life last year that I do not want to go on Prozac. I do not want to be on Prozac. My first initial thought was, Okay, this is number two. This is the second time you've learned this lesson. The first time, even though it wasn't directly to you, this is still the second time. So we are going to, even more so, one, I proved that it don't matter if you have really good systems to compartmentalize and navigate anxieties, you can still take on too much. And then either one, you're going to have to learn how to better even navigate that amount, or you can pull back and say, okay, let me take some things off my plate, which is what I did then, and is actually what I did a couple weeks ago or last week again, because having these big dreams and having these big goals requires big moves, and sometimes they all consolidate on your plate. And when that anxiety creeps in and it's so much that you feel like I need an outlet and I need to escape, that's your red flag to be like, no, you need to slow down. Look at what's on your plate. And so this is going to be the worksheet. What is on your plate? List it all of it, everything. All right, what has to stay on the plate? And I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get into what I got, the decision making. But ultimately, that's what you are going to do, and it's not going to be your last time. Like last year when I had to do that, it was not my first time, was not my last. Last week when I had to do that, it was not my first, was not my last. It's going to be a constant evolution until I feel that I am fulfilling my purpose and there's no big movement to be done, which I cannot even compartmentalize when that would be. So that alone helps anxiety as well, is knowing that I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. So I might as well, there ain't no reason for me to rush. So let me stay on track. Okay, so what this podcast is going to be on is me just going through a list of a couple of decisions that I've had to make over the last 7 days and how I navigated these decisions and just the mindset behind them. Because ultimately, being a good decision maker, making decisions based on the outcome that you want, can be applied to every single move that you make all day long. Making this podcast right now is a decision. Waking up and pushing snooze is a decision. Not pushing snooze is a decision. When you train your mind to think of every single thing that you do every day, all day long, as little decisions, you become one better. That's how you practice. That's how you practice this skill every day, is you become better at making decisions. You make the decision to not push snooze. You make the decision to eat a good breakfast. You make a decision to plan your macros yesterday so that today could be easier. You made the decision yesterday to plan or to prep the food for today so that today could be easier. All these little things are small decisions. A decision to not get on social media when you first wake up because you don't want to see all the things that happened overnight. That is a decision to keep your mental peace. Don't overlook these small little decisions that you make all day long. And this is just go into just the decision to train, the decision to say I love you, the decision to get in your car. Everything is a decision, right? So, okay. And everything that is decided, and here's where people don't understand, is that thinking takes energy, right? And you 100% know that it takes energy when you overthink. So not only is the goal to not overthink, but to not overthink, you have to be better at thinking so that you don't overthink. And there is nothing to overthink. The decision is made. So this, and I go into a lot of words with my girls. So this is what I do as a coach, this type of coaching, right? Nutrition and workouts, that's easy. Mindset, changing your mind about a lot of things, everything. But using words that are concrete, that are affirmative words, so that there is no overthinking, because the answer is right there. The word sure is one that I personally do not use. And if somebody says, like if I say, if I ask my husband, do you want to go to Easter Sunday or Easter Saturday at my aunt's house? And he says, sure, to me, that means it's not a yes, because if it was a yes, then it would just say yes. And it's not a no, and it's like kind of like I guess I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. So that's what we're trying to not do. We don't want to speak and people not know what we are saying or what we are trying to say. We want to be affirmative with what our words are so that we can not have to say it again. That's the ultimate goal, is to not have to think about decisions twice. We don't want to make the same decision more than one time. That's one goal. We don't want to have to say the same thing more than one time. So with my clients, this is just an example. And I've come so far with check-ins and the education part, right? So my G4 community, again, that's a portal for a lot of education, a lot as far as how to dine out, how to travel, meal prep, full to everything that I could teach that I have had to learn in the last 11 years with tracking macros and flexible dieting and training and competing. All of it is over there. All of it is given. All of it's a lot of it, most of it is free in my G4 community. So if you want to learn anything about that, go join my free community. But it all started because every client needed to know the same thing. It's like every single one of them needed to know the same thing. So when I finally realized that, all right, you can continue to repeat yourself, or you can create a document or a worksheet or whatever and have them all go and read this one thing, right? So that's one way. And then another way that I had to learn this was when I was at the Francis, when I was managing people, like employees, when I did not make a system that was efficient, it was clear because they didn't know what they were doing. And I'll never forget this one little girl, and I've been in the restaurant business my whole life. So making sweet tea is very, like, I could do it with my eyes closed, with my hands tied, to be honest with you. And so I had the steps to make tea written down, when to make it, how to make it, blah, 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 all the things. And this one little girl had never worked in a restaurant, never made tea her whole life. And she was 18, 19 years old. And I'll never forget, she said, we ran out of tea. This is the middle of lunch. We ran out of tea. And I was like, what are you doing? She was just sitting there. I said, what are you doing? You don't know how to make any tea? And she said, no, I don't know how to. I've never made it before. And I've never cussed at an employee, and I'll never cuss at anybody. But I remember looking at her like, this girl she got to be kidding me. And so I just stopped. This is going back to kind of what I was trying to get into with this podcast. Stopped right there, even though I was rushed around lunch. And I said, all right, here's the instructions, and I'm gonna show you real quick, and I'm gonna teach you. And then after this shift, you're gonna come down and we're gonna go through these instructions, and you're gonna tell me what did not make sense, so that I can make these instructions make sense for the next person who I don't know if they know how to make tea, but I do know that I need tea made, and I need to have these instructions very clear. A 2-year-old should be able to make tea, right? So that's, when you're making a decision, when you're speaking, that's the mindset that you want to have, so that you are timely, so that you are not wasting your time and you're not wasting other people's time trying to figure out what you're trying to say, what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, and everything else. Okay, so navigating life decisions. The size of the decisions do not matter. The way that you make decisions is they are outcome based. So last week, being Easter weekend, I knew that my family was doing Easter on Saturday. And let me just remind you, I'm 5 weeks out, which that will never be an excuse for me to ever do anything or not do anything. Being 5 weeks out or being in prep will never be an excuse for me to not show up as me, Gracie, 100% mentally and physically and emotionally, if that is the case. So, but I do want you to just food for thought, 5 weeks out. All right, Easter was on Saturday, not Sunday for my family. And Friday, we didn't find this out until until Tuesday, that one of our good friends was throwing his wife a surprise party at our best friend's house on Friday. And I was so excited because these are some of our closest friends. That was for Friday, and then Saturday was Easter. And so all week long, I knew that I was going to go to both, and how I was going to navigate that with work and clients and training and cardio and all the things. And all the way up until Friday, we were supposed to leave at 5:30, and my husband comes home at 4:30. And again, I mentally know that I'm about to stop work and I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to go to this party. And I was tired. Of course I'm tired. It's 5:30. And this, for me, Friday is a rest day. So it makes sense as to why I'm tired. But I did pay attention all week long as far as how tired I was in the evenings. Because we go every evening, I have to feed our dogs. And that's a pretty big task because it's a lot of dogs. So I was very, very mindful all week long just how my energy levels were, which made me make the decision Friday to sleep till 6:30, whether not, because usually I wake up at 6:10, but Friday I slept in till 6:30 because I knew that I would just need, even again, that little bit of time and energy that I'm getting when I sleep, that little bit extra goes far when you're intentional with your energy. So at 5:30, or when Andy came in and he said, if you don't want to go to the party, then I would be okay staying at home. And at first I was like, no, like I feel good right now. Like I want to go. And this is a really big mental health note. I did not tell my friends. Obviously, I didn't tell the lady that was having this surprise party for, but I didn't tell my other friends that we were going or not. I didn't tell anybody. I told one friend, my friend Katie, that we were going. And I also, this is my best friend, and I did not feel bad at all if we were to make the decision to not go. So I'm only going to tell people, one, I'm not going to tell people anything 99% of the time. And if I do tell somebody that I'm going to be somewhere, it's going to be somebody that I know I can also say, hey, change your plans, and they do not get their feelings hurt. I don't have friends that get their feelings hurt when I make a decision that is best for me and my family. I don't have friends like that. I've eliminated them, or I've toughened up my friends and been like, hey, it ain't nothing against you. This is a decision for me. So put your panties up. But for the most part, I have cut them out. And the friends that I do have are the friends that I know 100% that I can say, hey, change your plans. Or in this case, I didn't even text Katie because it doesn't matter. Like, what would that matter to her? They're going to go and they're going to have a good time. The last thing I'd rather her think I'm going to be there later, and then figure out that I'm not going to be there and her not have a good time because she's wondering where I am. I'd rather her just go and have a good time than me text her and say, hey, we're not coming, for whatever excuse I'm going to come up with. So, food for thought on all that. Okay. So he tells me he's like, I don't mind. This might have to be 2 podcasts. I don't mind you if you don't want to go. And so, like I said, at first I was like, no, I want to go. So then I go outside and I see that my cups that I got from my clients had come in and my stickers were in. And I know this is a podcast, but if it's a YouTube, you see the stickers? Okay, so these stickers I ordered, and the cups, this is a higher joke, but the cups that I got from my girls came in. And so that, I was like, okay, I'm very excited. So again, that was so all this to say, the decision was made that we did not go to my friend's house or my friend's party. One, because I knew I was tired. I had proven all the evenings and I was tired in the afternoon. But what I wasn't willing to sacrifice, this is the key. What I wasn't willing to sacrifice was the energy for Saturday, because that was most important, right? So my notes here: energy-based decision. Who am I willing to hurt if hurting someone is on the table, or who am I not willing to hurt? I'm not willing to hurt me. I'm not willing to hurt Lucy, and I'm not willing to hurt my family. And Lucy is my little niece. I told her that I was going to be at Easter, and I'm going to show up at Easter with an Easter bunny costume, if that's what I told her I was going to do, with the attitude of being at Easter, not an attitude of tiredness, not an attitude of 5 weeks out. just, so if I can't show up mentally and physically, then I'm not going to show up at all, right? So how you show up is just as important as you showing up. When it comes to intention and making these intentional decisions and being intentional with your energy. So who am I willing to hurt? I'm willing to hurt Katie. I'm willing to hurt my friend that had the party. I'm willing to hurt all of them. It is what it is. Again, they're not going to get hurt, but I'm willing to risk that because I'm not willing to risk myself getting hurt by me going and then the next day being upset with myself that I showed up for Lucy not 100%. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to Lucy or my family or me. So that decision was made for Friday. And that was the thought process as I thought through that and made that decision. It was very simple. Who am I willing to hurt and who am I not willing to hurt by doing or not doing this? Okay, so moving on. And it kind of going into what I talk to clients about all the time, FOMO. That's kind of about the same thing, so I'm going to go off of that before I go on to the next lesson. But fear of missing out is something that, as a 37-year-old woman, I should never feel. Because I have the ability to stop prep. I have the ability to prep. I have the ability to fly to a fashion show. I have the ability to, if I feel that I'm missing out on a party, I could go. I could drink the alcohol. I could eat the food. I could go compete this year. I could do all the things. I'm 37. I could do all the things. I might not have $1 million, but I got enough to do the things that I would fear, and I put quotes on that, I'm missing out on. So that mindset that helps me never have FOMO, because I make the decision that the FOMO comes from making a bad decision or having expectations for yourself that just don't align with who you're trying to be. And an example of that would be if I had FOMO on going to a concert with my friends and I had FOMO, well, why did you not just go? Maybe because that doesn't align with being in prep. Maybe that doesn't align with you're there be drinking, right? That might not have been the best example, but it's one that's very, very, very familiar to people. Is that, another one actually, competing. People ask me every time I'm at a show if I'm not competing, are you excited or do you feel FOMO whenever you go to shows and you're not competing? No. Why would I feel FOMO? I could compete if I wanted to. I just choose not to. I don't choose to compete every year. I like, for whatever reason, you can come up with any reason. So FOMO, know that if you feel FOMO, let that be a red flag that, hey, what decision did you make that doesn't align with you, what you ultimately want, or what decision, how'd you make it, and how are you going to make it different in the future so you don't have FOMO anymore, right? Again, most of y'all, if not all of y'all, are old enough to pay your way out of feeling FOMO. And if you can't pay your way out, then so this is a client I had a long time ago, and I'm glad that I don't have these types of clients anymore. But she followed this girl who lived in like Spain and rode a bike and just, is probably an Instagram influencer and showed nothing but her perfect little life in Spain. And my client was upset one day because that was the life that she wants. And I remember asking her, do you plan on ever divorcing your husband? And she said, no. I said, do you ever plan on getting a better job? No. Okay, then what do you plan on doing with your kids? You gonna keep them? She said, yeah. I was like, then where in your future or your near future do you see yourself in Spain riding a bike? And she had it all dreamed out with a yellow dress on and a hat on. Where do you see that actually being real? And she got so upset, which again, I don't care if I hurt your feelings, if I'm telling you the truth of what you need to hear to get you to come back to life, come back to real life. Look, here's the thing. If you say, yeah, I want to change my career, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to move to Spain. Hell yeah. I'm going to help you do that. But I'm not going to let you dream of this magical life that you now have FOMO about, when you're just dreaming and you're not being real. So FOMO is going to either be coming from, again, going back to the just expectations. Let them match so that you don't feel FOMO, because who wants to feel that? Who wants to feel they're missing out on something when they're not? And are you really missing out on things? This would be the other question. So hopefully that story helped you understand what I'm talking about when FOMO can literally cause you to be so feel like you're stagnant that you don't do anything in the life that you actually have. And that was a very different example, but it can also be applied to fear of missing out on food. Like Easter being this past weekend, they had brisket, we had all the Easter food. I could eat all of that any day of the year. So you don't have to eat it all right now. That is the same mindset as what I was just talking about with that girl in Spain. You're not missing out on anything. And if you are, let's pay and let's make better decisions to put ourselves in that place that we're in Spain, or let us do the work and put to where we can eat brisket and all of the Reese's eggs every single day. There's a reason that I eat Oreos every single day in 90% of the year. It's because I like them. And Reese's, I like them. And so eating them every day of the year makes, literally every single day, makes the amount of weeks that I don't, which I think I cut them around 12 weeks out, and I didn't even need to cut them then. I just cut them so that I could spread my fats out a little bit more. Helps the 10 weeks that I got to cut the Reese's out or cut the Oreos out a lot easier. All I got to do is say, well, you can do anything for 10 weeks. Shit. And then you go back to eating them every day. Fit them in your macros. Eat them every day. So you see how this can all balance out. When you're feeling FOMO, ask yourself those questions. What am I feeling FOMO about? How can I not feel this right now? Can I go? And so one time Andy was like, he said something about he felt FOMO because we did not go to a party. And this is years ago. And I said, he goes, I just want to have a drink. I said, let's go get drunk then. Let's go get fucked up, me and you. Let's go get fucked up. That's what you want to do. Let's go do that. And he was like, well, no, I don't want to do it just us. Okay, then you really don't want to drink. You really are, there's other reasons that you want it to be at that party, which is fine. But just bring awareness to that. So if you have FOMO about going to drink or not drinking, and I have done this with clients, go get you a bottle of alcohol. Let's drink. I'll drink with you. Let's get it out of our systems so that we can stop feeling FOMO, because with FOMO, we think that it's going to be better on the other side when it ain't. It ain't going to be better. Not only going to not feel better, you're going to be even farther back than you are right now for your goals. So the outcome, that's what our focus is, our outcome-based decisions. Okay, let me move on. Today's decision to not, I'm going to do two more, and then I'm going to actually split this into two podcasts. 33 minutes, I ain't even touched on things. Okay, today making the decision to not call AT&T before my morning routine after seeing the email that they charged my card. When I cut my AT&T bill, like I returned my phone in February, and this was the third, and this is my first thought was, so I should not have been getting charged since February 13th. So today, when I checked my email in the morning, which I only check once a day in the morning, but I saw that in the morning, and that needs to even probably change. Saw it this morning, and my first thought was, I need to call them. But my second thought was, this is the third month you've been charged when you should have not been charged. So obviously it wasn't that important to you. You know, it said if it would have been probably $200, $300, then I'd have called them the first time. But it was $77, though. That's a lot of money. I hadn't been important enough for me to make the decision earlier in the year to make the decision that I made to call them today. So that was my first thought, that I can't let it all of a sudden be important just because I want it to be important right now. Because if I make the decision to call them right now, or before my morning routine, let's just say before my work, before my cardio, before what I've already planned for the morning, then that's going to put my entire day behind. And that alone will cause more anxiety. So I'm not going to do anything right now, was what I told myself this morning, because there's nothing that's going to happen right now that's going to fix anything. And it's not going to be a quick task. It's not like I'm going to call and it's just going to be a quick task. In fact, because I time everything, it took an hour and a half once I did make the call. So I told myself, you're going to do this after your everything that you have already on your book, already on your morning plan. And then at 1 o'clock, you can call them, which is what I did. And again, it wasn't a quick task, just like I anticipated. And so I said, I make the decision to call after my morning routine. Thoughts I kept in mind. One, I cannot get frustrated. So just a recap of what happened. I had 2 phone numbers. One was a business number. One was my personal number for the last 5 years. And that's a whole nother podcast, because that was anxiety driven. Like, that was an anxiety driven decision that helped my anxiety, that I come full circle with and don't need 2 phones anymore. So I was able to turn in, because it became just more of a pain than anything. And obviously the call, so I need to pay for something I'm not efficiently using like I was the first 5 years. Actually, I'll probably cut this off after this one, and then y'all can just come back for the second one. So I returned that phone to Apple. I turned in both of my old phones, turned in 2 to get an upgrade on my new phone. So now I turned in 1 and got an upgrade on my new iPhone, so I have 1 phone. And they did not tell me that I should have, in this order, I should have cut that line off, the number off with AT&T, and then turned in my phone. So make this note if you have this, just in the future. That's the order, because I did it opposite. I turned the phone in and then went to cut the line. And I even asked the guy at Apple, I was like, I need to cut this number. What do I do? He said, you just go to the AT&T store and cut the number. I was like, okay. So did not tell me anything about needing the phone to cut the number. So when I go to cut the number off, after I've turned in the phone and got this phone, they have to send me a text on the phone. I was like, I don't have the phone. So that was a whole another, just chaos, because then they literally have no protocols at all in this situation, except for what I did, which was report 3 fraud charges against AT&T on my account, and then block AT&T from being able to take money out in the future. Like, that's literally what they told me to do. So know that that's the steps. You cut your line off, and then you return your phone. But my thoughts going into that phone call was, can I get frustrated because I did not follow AT&T's protocols? Even though I didn't know AT&T's protocols, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. That's their protocols. It's kind of like when people get frustrated with the laws of the road. It doesn't matter if you are in a hurry. The laws are the laws. The rules are the rules. Like, leave earlier or be better at time managing, right? All these things. So reminding myself to not get frustrated the whole time, even though, and look, let me tell you, I know I did not get angry at all. And I did a whole podcast on anger. Did not get angry at all. Obviously, I'm here talking to y'all. But I did have to keep reminding myself, just big lesson. And it's not a hard lesson. None of these are big decisions. These are actually huge part of the point of this video and podcast is to show you how small these decisions can be, but they're all the same mindset that is making the decisions, right? Okay, so I'm going to cut that. Actually, I'm going to do one more because I was just talking about the cups, and I'm going to move it up a little bit. Okay, so with my cups that I got my girls, and that decision to stay home Friday and not go to the party was partly driven by the fact that I want this to my girls on Monday. I want to be able to ship them their cups, because the reason that I got their cups is because crawfish season and vacation season and social life season is all coming even more. And I want them to be able to bring their cups. So it's just a 40-ounce cup It's so cute. I don't have one here, but I'm actually gonna make a post on it maybe this week. I knew that I wanted to get those to my girls ASAP. And obviously this was Friday afternoon, so I could have probably shipped them out on Saturday, but I couldn't because I had my event. So I knew that Monday, which is today, I wanted to have this outcome base. I wanted to send my girls their cups. So I knew Saturday was out of the question. And then Sunday, being that I work every day and the weekends are really important to me in my business, Sunday was going to be a big work day. So I knew that I didn't want to, because I have to put these stickers on, and I'd never done that before, so I just didn't know what I didn't know, right? So part of the decision to not go on Friday was because those cups came in, and I wanted to get that, I wanted to get that outcome. And so that's what I did. And so then the decision today, when I went to go ship them, even though I could have, and if moving forward, I decide to make more cups or get these more often, whether it be for my clients or for public, I'll know the shipping cost. I didn't know the shipping cost, nor did I research it, nor did I want to think and stress about it when I told my clients the cost. But I knew the cost that I wanted to give to them, especially this first go round, and I knew that I didn't want it to be high. Like not trying to profit on this. If I make $1, that's great, but I'm trying to not be negative either, right? So today when I went to ship, my estimated shipping cost was way off, but it ended up balancing out. I'm not doing the numbers. I'll do the numbers eventually, but again, I'm just trying to learn what to do in the future if I decide to make this decision again. But today, when I was at the post office, what I was going to say was I know that I can make shipping labels and all of that. I've done it before with my booty bands, but I don't have the time or the energy that I want to put to that. I'm just going to pay. This goes back to that. Pay the cost. See what. Now I can make the decision of, one, do I want to do the cups again, or was it just too much of a loss in time, money, and energy, or actually not and. And if I do want to do the cups, then I need to, one, either charge it more. Just again, I'm not trying to make a lot of money here. I'm just trying to cover the cost. Or I need to do a better job, or I need to use where I print my own labels, right? So that I can save money, save time, save energy. So the decision to not look into the shipping was the decision to say whatever the shipping costs today when I went to go ship them had to be what it's going to be, and there's nothing I can do. I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to complain about it to her. I'm not going to beat myself up that I went over that budget way much. I'm just going to say, all right, well, so we're not going to do that again, and this is what we're going to do instead, right? Okay, so I'm going to cut this off here and then finish up with the last couple decisions, and then also with the questions that I kind of run through myself. Hopefully this gave you a lot of good just tidbits of pieces of advice when you're making decisions. And just know that, again, the skill of making good decisions, you can practice every day, all day long. And the better you get at it, the more you're going to see in return by less stress, less anxiety, more progress in every way, in every area of life. So, okay, so episode 2, I'll record in just a few minutes.